Okay, we'll move on to the poem The Patriot by Nizam Ezekiel. I'll just have a brief reading of the note on the poet and the lesson as part of the pre-reading activity. Nizam Ezekiel, 16 December 1924 to 9 January 2004, was an Indian Jewish poet, actor, playwright, editor, and art critic. He was a foundational figure in the post-colonial India's literary history, especially for Indian writing in English. So post-colonial means after the colonization ended. So what all literary pieces were produced during that time, it is called as post-colonial period. He was awarded the Sahitya Akademi Award in 1983 for his poetry collection, Latter Day Psalms by the Sahitya Academy, India's National Academy of Letters. Ezekiel is universally recognized and appreciated as being one of the most notable and accomplished Indian English language poets of the 20th century, applauded for his subtle, restrained, and well crafted diction, dealing with common and mundane themes in a manner that manifests both cognitive profundity as well as an unsentimental, realistic sensibility that has been influential on the course of succeeding Indian English poetry. So he says, so the about the poet, they say these are the characteristics that make that helps him to stand apart from other Indian poets. Ezekiel enriched and established Indian language poetry through his modernist innovations and techniques, which enlarged Indian English literature, moving it beyond purely spiritual and Orientalist themes to include a wider range of concerns and interests, including mundane familial events, individual angst, and skeptical social introspection. So these are the major themes of his poetry. That is concerns and interest, mundane familial events. Mundane means ordinary. Family elements that happens in everybody's family. Individual angst. Angst refers to anger. Skeptical means a person who does not accept anything without questioning. Introspection, again, cross checks whether what this person did is correct or incorrect. Note on the poem: the Patriot can be and has been read in at least two conflicting ways, as a satire and a mockery of the speaker of the poem, and also as an affectionate portrait of the poem's speaker. According to the first view, the poem implicitly ridicules the speaker's use of the English language, making that use seem awkward and uninformed. According to the second view, the poem presents the speaker in such a way that we cannot help but admire him or her by the end of the work. Of these two views, the second seems more convincing. If the poem had been written to satirize and ridicule the speaker, besides, little that the speaker actually says seems worthy of severe mockery. The speaker seems to be a person with a generous outlook on life and on other people. So this poetry has two perspectives. We will elaborate on that. We will discuss more on that. Glossary: Gunda fellow, rogue element, regeneration, the action or process of regenerating or being regenerated. Remuneration, money paid for work or a service. Contraception, the deliberate use of artificial methods or other techniques to prevent pregnancy. Lassi, a sweet of savory Indian drink made from a yogurt or buttermilk base with water. Teetotaler, a person who never drinks alcohol. Ram Rajya, the rule of righteousness. These are the comprehension questions that one should focus on while reading the text. What has speeded up the process of change? Whom does the narrator want the people to follow in the second stanza? On which things in the modern generation focusing in the second stanza? Who is a teetotaler in the poem? Write a note on the significance of the title of the poem. What kind of patriotism does the narrator dislike? What efforts does the narrator make in order to become a good English speaker? What suggestion does the narrator offer for the ethnic tensions amongst Indians? Critically evaluate the Patriot. The Patriot can be read in at least two conflicting ways: as a satire and mockery of the speaker of the poem, and as an affectionate portrait of the poem speaker elicited. So these questions you should keep in mind while discussing this poetry. So the very fact that the very definition of patriot is very much subjective. It all depends on the individual's perception. For a soldier, you may ask, if you ask what patriotism is, he or she will say that if you sacrifice your life for one's country, or if you fight for one's country, that is patriotism. If you ask a teacher, he or she may say teaching to students is patriotism. So different people have different versions of patriotism. So you should understand this poetry was written during the time of independence or even post-independence period. So it will have traces of independence or even war. I'm standing for peace and non-violence. Why world is fighting? Why all people of the world are not following Mahatma Gandhi? I am simply not understanding. Ancient Indian wisdom is 100% correct. I should say even 200%. But modern generation is neglecting too much, going for fashion and foreign thing. So here the author is talking about the violence that is happening place across the world. So even then he says, though there is violence across the world, his focus is on peace and non-violence. And he further questions why is the people are not following the principles of Mahatma Gandhi. So, and even he says ancient Indian wisdom is 100% correct, or even in fact 200% correct. This is a typical example of a generation gap. He feels during his times the younger generation, his younger generation are not focusing on the various aspects of life. They are just into fashion and foreign thing. One day I'm reading newspaper. Every day I'm reading Times of India to improve my English. How one Gunda fellow threw stone at Indira Bain. See here, deliberately wrong English is used. Okay, in order to convey that there are different types of Englishes. There is no just standard British standard English. One day I'm reading newspaper to improve my English. How one Gunda fellow threw stone at Indira Bain. So Indira Bain here refers to the former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. Okay, there were a lot of protests during her rule, so he is mentioning about that. Must be student and best fellow. I'm thinking friends, Romans, countrymen. I'm saying to myself, lend me the years. Everything is coming. Regeneration, remuneration, contraception. Be patiently, brothers and sisters. So he says, see, he knows that there is no audience for him. He's talking to himself. Therefore, he says, I'm saying to myself. He addresses everybody. He imagines that he's talking to a lot of people, but on the other hand, he also knows that there is nobody to listen to him. He says, lend me the years. Everything is coming. Regeneration, remuneration, contraception. So this is very much important. So during Indira Gandhi's rule, so these were the main highlights. Regeneration could be, there could refers to, there could be a complete revival of country's economy, or or in other aspects also, social and political aspects also. Remuneration, it's during those days we had a lot of anti-poverty programs or poverty alleviation programs in order to reduce poverty. So it could be like food for work, or minimum support price, or minimum wages. All these were implemented, and even housing for all, housing for poor. Like in contraception, everybody knew that during Indira Gandhi's, former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi's period, there was forceful contraceptive operations, and there were a lot of protests during that time also. Therefore, it says, be patiently, brothers and sisters. You want one glass lassi? Very good for digestion. With little salt, lovely drink, better than wine. Not that I'm ever tasting the wine. So here he talks about other social issue that you used to, that is that haunted that then society, and which is haunting even today, about this alcoholic consumption. So he says he feels that why is that people are after wine when you have a better drink, lassi. So even many of the authentic lassis have some drowsy effect. So he also says lassi is better than wine, and he further clarifies, just because he has mentioned lassi is better than wine, it doesn't mean that he has consumed wine. So he says he's a complete teetotaler, completely total. But I say wine is for drunkards only. So he further says that wine is for drunkards only, and if people, and he wants to reduce the influence and impact of wine on individuals. Therefore, he looks down upon those people who consume wine. Though he suggests them alternative. You have sufficient, or you have better drinks. You have better drinks like lassi. Why don't you try it? Why don't you give up on wine? What do you think of prospects of world peace? Pakistan behaving like this, China behaving like that. It is making me really sad. I'm telling you, really most harassing me. So yeah, all these till now he talked about individual aspects. Okay, alcoholic consumption, and what else did he focus on? He focused on about his English and the political scenario, and he talked about how it is impacting people, regeneration, remuneration, contraception, and even he talks about lassi. Now he moves on to the international level. Okay, what about world peace? When you have people, when we have our own neighbors fighting with us, all men are brothers, no. So he's just using a conversational English in written form. In India, also Gujaratis, Maharashtrians, Hindiwalas, all brothers, though some are having funny habits. So he says, though we belong to different nations, we all are human beings. We should behave like brothers. Even in India, also, we have people with different culture. It could be Gujaratis, Maharashtrians, Hindiwalas. Though we keep on mocking at others' habits, lifestyle, dress style, food habits, and other aspects, we consider we are living as one. So here he also trying to hint that India is a microcosm of the world. Okay, he is trying to highlight how there is unity and diversity in India. Still, you tolerate me, I tolerate you. One day, Ram Raja is surely coming. So he says, though we have differences between people or between groups, between religions, regions, and even places, we are tolerant towards one another. Okay, he says one day Ram Raja is surely coming. Ram Raja doesn't mean a religious kind of society. He only means that law will be established. There will be complete rule of law and rule of law and justice. You are going, but you will visit again. Anytime, any day. I'm not believing in ceremony. Always, I am enjoying your company. So he says you are going, but you will visit again. Anytime, any day. I'm not believing in ceremony. Always, I am enjoying your company. So it could be he's telling to a listener, a hypothetical listener, he questions, are you going now? Are you not? Don't you want to listen to me? But you will visit again anytime, any day. He says, I know you will come back again any time of the day, any moment you can come and meet me. I'm not believing in ceremony. Always I am enjoying your company. So he indirectly says he wants to talk to people. Indirectly, he invites the speaker to continue staying with him and to be with him. Okay. Now go through the poetry and answer the questions. As I said earlier, locate the page number, para number, line number, and elaborate the answers in 1 or 2 lines and upload it in the Google Classroom.